right, welcome back everybody. Well, this week we're going to get to a song that many of you have been asking for a long, long time. This is Radar Love by Golden Earring. This is from sort of early mid-70s. Great example of sort of Les Paul, Marshall rock. I don't know exactly what instruments they use, but come on. I mean, the song is that, right? And so I'm going to take you through the guitar parts that are going on here. Some interesting little fills, little leads, the rhythm parts. Great. There's even some slide guitar in there if you haven't noticed that. And so I'm going to break down the guitar parts that are going on here. Great rhythm, little tasty little leads, and there's even some slide guitar that sneaks in there. And I'll break all that down for you here. So if this is the kind of thing that you like and you haven't done so yet, please jump down, click subscribe, ring the bell. Bell will tell you when I drop new content. I do that every single week. All my videos have chapters in them, so you can jump right to the part of the lesson that you want to see and bypass what you don't. And if you're looking for other ways to support the channel, I appreciate that. There's thanks, just like throwing a tip in the tip jar, or even better, you can join my Patreon page where I've got chord charts and tabs for all the lessons I do on YouTube, just like this one. And if you're interested in merch, that's here too. So all the links are in the description below, so check it out. All right, so Radar Love, Golden Earring. So yeah, I don't know exactly what instruments were played on this, but it's just a great sort of example of pentatonic Les Paul Marshall rock in my head, right? So that's what I'm going to go with. Now, all the details of my signal chain are going to be in the description below, but long story short, Les Paul, bridge pickup. I'm fiddling with the volume knob only. Everything else is wide open. I'm running through my Boss Waza tube expander with my 20-watt Marshall Studio Plexi. So that's what you're hearing today. Okay, so this is all about F sharp. This is an F sharp based rock song. I'm sure someone's going to tell me, no, it's in the key of E, even though the home chord is F sharp. Whatever. I don't care. I'm going to call it an F sharp song. So the very first piece that opens up, it's on the guitar. It's really outlining an F sharp chord, or kind of the F sharp minor pentatonic scale. So, right, so here's our, that's your F sharp minor pentatonic, right, on the low strings. And that's exactly what happens. He starts right here on your fifth string. And ends outlining that E chord, right? So you can see all those notes are right there in that F sharp. That's how I think about it anyway. And then gets into that really cool groove and the bass groove that comes in. And all right, so here's the start of these tasty little call and response leads that happen here on guitar. So the verse comes in, sings the first line, and he's doing a call and response, so it's the lyric. And then here's the first little riff that happens. It's all right here off your F sharp minor is what I'm thinking about. And you're doing double stops on 2 strings at a time. So the first one is on your 3rd and 2nd string, sliding up into that. I think it's a slide in. If not, it's fine if it's not. Right, so you're just playing with first the double stops on 3 and 2, the 3rd and 2nd string, on the 2nd fret. And then you're doing the same thing on your 4th and 3rd string on the 4th fret to the 2nd fret. That's that whole riff. And bass. Right, so that first verse go around, he just repeats that 4 times. We're going to go into our pre-chorus, and if you listen, the whole energy with the song is like driving rock, right? So you're like tempted to just like crank up all the gain and just like go full distortion mode. But if you listen to the guitar, it's kind of not. You're hearing a lot of clarity to it. So I've even got more, I think, distortion going than really the record is. But I'm rolling my volume back sort of around 6 or 7. And then our pre-chorus, we're just doing little sort of power chords, little root fifth. And the chords start out with an E to a B in this position, to an F sharp, right? That's the first part. And then we're going to switch and do those chords in different voicings up here. And you still have this low open E string, but you're going to fret your E like that. You're going to go from an E to B, which is right there. But he does this little pickup on it. Like that. Does that little thing before you get to your B. And then he picks it up and you're just going straight across on the 6th, 5th, and 4th string. It's like, I think that makes it a, I'm going to say a B7 sus. And then we're going to move up 2 frets to your C sharp. Same thing. Right? So all together. And then we're into our chorus, right? Very cool. Just subtle little things, you know? And there's obviously all the other greatness that's going around the song. You know, horns are coming in and really filling it out, but super cool little guitar part. And then our chorus. And our chorus is going to be down here in first position chords. You can goose your volume a little bit if you want. D, A, E, and then F sharp major. And you can choose to fret that major third or not, which makes it a 5. But I think that note you want in there. And when I watched the live footage of him, I'm pretty sure he's playing that. But he's playing this sort of version. He's not going all the way across like this. He's playing that version, right? Super cool progression, and that F sharp major really makes it. In fact, he's singing that note up there, but that's why that works and why you want that to be major. But great little part there. All right, now what also is going on in the chorus is there's some slide guitar that happens. So while our primary guitar that we just learned is doing those D, A, E, F sharp major chords, there's sort of a complementing slide guitar that happens on the record as well. And when you isolate it and everything and listen to it on its own, you can tell that it's in an open G tuning. Gives you an open G chord. And Keith Richards made a whole living off of that open G chord from about 1969 on. Okay, so what's happening is it's just I'll show you the slide part that's happening on that first verse. He does variances through the rest of them, but it's all sort of around the same kind of thing. But when he hits that big D chord, we got a thing. He's just going to come up here and he's going to slide into your D up on the 7th fret. And he's going to come down to your next chord is an A. Actually, he's just working off of the 2nd and the 1st string. So that's E. And And then you're just sliding that, again, that major third that's so important to call out that chord. Get to your F sharp. So your D, A, E, and sliding that major third up to the major third of your F sharp there, right? And then he finished it off up here on your major third of your E. So you can either hit that note there, if you want being economical on space, or there. So, like I said, he does that. He does versions of that on all the choruses. The second chorus, he like stays. When all the chords changing, he's just stays on that D. But he'll do variances of all that. But it's just doing the pieces of the chords, basically, and complementing that great sort of power chorus. A great touch on there. But you don't see him do it live in the old days because they just have the one guitar player that's holding everything down. But great sort of compliment that happens on the record. All right, now we're into our second verse. Same thing, call and response, but the little riff that he plays is a little different. We're going to now shift to, we were doing that riff down here, right, based off of this F sharp minor. But now you're going to come up to this F sharp minor, that sort of position on it. And the little riff is, it's different, same sort of feel, but it's totally different. And, but it's based around that F sharp minor position. And here's what it looks like. So you're taking the first two strings and you're sliding up. Because there's your F sharp minor. So you've now fretted that F sharp minor, sliding into it very quickly. And you're going to catch those two on the 12th fret of your B and E string. Okay? And then just hit those same two strings open, because it's the same thing. This is E and B. It's an octave of E and B open, right? You're going to do a quick hit on that. And then slide into your bottom part of your F sharp minor chord here. Slowly. You can finger that however you want. One more time. Isn't that awesome? And then we're back to our original riff, but he's going to play it at the octave higher. And then closes it off with the original one. Same pre-chorus and chorus that we learned. To your chorus. All right, now we're going to go into our first part of some extended jams that are going to go on here. This is the album version, by the way, so I'm going to do all of them. Sometimes they get radio edit, or they used to get radio edited out. Okay, so let's go through this first one. So the bass groove changes a little bit now. It's doing something like... Right, so that's going to be what we're jamming under. Again, F sharp. Okay, so this riff that he plays is very interesting. It's sort of based off of, I would think of it as like sixth intervals where you're skipping a string, you're emphasizing the fourth string and the second string, and you're basing it around this F sharp minor position again. And you've got this open A string that's ringing too at the same time. So I think he's just doing this jam where he's letting that open A string alone and he's sort of riffing it like... and sometimes you hit the A and sometimes you don't. It's okay, but it's sort of in there a little bit. And then he switches up to this position. Right? So those two again. Does that a couple times around, then he climbs. All right, now we're going to get into our true rock leads here. So we're going to kick it off with just a straight across on your second fret from the A string forward. And we're going to go into our sort of pentatonic rock riff here. Turn it up a little bit. It just does that same riff twice. All right, now we're going to slide up into our extended pentatonic shape up here. So this is again based off of your F sharp minor pentatonic. So your next shape here where you're sliding up on your F sharp minor is up here. This is your box, your B.B. King box, right? Right. All right, now we're going to slide up. The first one, it's great. You have those two strings ringing together. Second one. Right? So, and then we're going to go two more times. Okay, those four real quick. All right, and then he's going to end it with this little speed riff, just going straight down that F sharp minor pentatonic scale box. Let me do it slowly for you. Yeah, it's got that very cool little hiccup that changes on the third string. So same on the first and second. You're going to slide that chromatic thing down one fret on your third string. And then you're going to move from a chromatic to an almost chromatic. You're going to so you go from to, and then it's chromatic all the way down. Not that I can play it super cleanly, but that's what it is. And it's, notice those are sort of pull-offs. And when you watch my right hand picking it, that's what it is. Dun, dun, dun. And you're just doing pull-offs with your left hand. And I think I'm doing up picks while I'm doing it. All right, so let me run through all those parts of the solo so far. Okay, it's as close as we're going to get today. And then you do this cool little octave climb that's the same thing as the horns that are going on. And we're going to just do with this, we're going to do octaves on your sixth and your fourth string. And it's going to be chromatic all the way up until you get to 5. But he picks it a little bit different. Like you go twice on the first fret, on the second fret where you're starting. And then it's 3 times on the next fret, and 3 times on the next fret, and 2 times on the last fret. All right. All right, so that's sort of that solo breakdown part number one. There's sort of a part two now, still in that groove, and he's going to sort of do these little quick little hits off of your F sharp minor chord up here, right? Right, and he's just going to build every single time. So the first time I think it's, and the second one he does like more hits. And the third one is, you know, just building every single time. The fourth one. And then we're going to end with four big, right, up here on, what is that, 17? And this little thing that's going to end on the turnaround chord. So that's just a pentatonic minor, F sharp minor pentatonic walk down, starting with that single note. That's the last little bit. You're catching the sixth and fifth string. And why is that? Why is that the last note? Because we're now going back into a new sort of riff that's going to happen based on F sharp. But that's your fifth of the F sharp, right? The C sharp. Okay, so that little part. All right, that closes that out. Now we're going to go to our spy, our spy solo, the spy riff. Super cool little jungle drum thing happening on that. And here's the riffs that are happening under that. Woo! And then we're going to do the thirds off of those chords, okay? The guitar, or the horns, I think, stay on those root notes. And the guitar and some horns split off and do the major third, or the thirds of those chords. So if you want to think about this, I mean, you could play both of those on guitar. I mean, that's what's going on, right? There you go. But it's the root and the third is what's happening on there. But the guitar is definitely playing a single note. And then we're going to end on, let's see, two little riffs, again, based on our F sharp thing. Right? All that's right there in your F minor pentatonic, you know, with the blue note in there. And then the last one. Kind of like the very intro riff, but a little different. Okay, now on this last verse, it breaks down a lot. And so instead of relying on the riff all the time, there's more little sort of bluesy noodling, and it's interplay between this guitar and the slide guitar that's sort of playing around and doing things during it too. But it's, you know, almost being, I'm almost there. That kind of stuff. And he's in this position up here. That kind of thing. One of those is in there. So they go around a couple different times, just jamming off of each other. You can do whatever pentatonic rock blues jam you want in those spots. The last one, right before it goes into the pre-chorus, That's the last screaming lead that goes into our pre-chorus. Goes around twice. And our last little jam that happens on that. It's going to happen there, and there's keyboard and horns and everything that come in, and the last little thing you're going to hear on guitar, I think it goes for 8 or 9 measures, and on the beginning of the 4th measure, you just hear the guitar coming in very sort of lightly. And it just builds the whole time until you're out. All right. And that, kids, is Radar Love by Golden Earring, and I hope you learned something new today. So if this is the kind of thing that you like and you haven't done so yet, please jump down, click subscribe, ring the bell. Bell will tell you when I drop new content. I do that every single week. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this, and if there's another song you want me to take on and do something similar, let me know what that is too. But until next week, take care, everybody.